It's funny, I never actually covered this scene in any of my previous Astarion content, and it's not such a bad thing because now I can talk about the scene as well as the updated version in patch 3. On my very first playthrough, I actually missed this guy altogether because the last place I visited was the swamp, long after the events of the camp celebration. When I finally found him, I was really excited to get an Astarion-specific event. So I'm sure most of you already know about this, but for those who don't, I'll fill you in. Basically, there is a guy called Gandrel that you can find in the Sunlit Wetlands, and he is a Gur. I initially thought they were all supposed to be monster hunters, but after checking the Forgotten Realms wiki, they're considered to be inspired by gypsies, nomadic people who moved around and were typically frowned upon by the majority of people in society. They usually picked up odd jobs or found work as soothsayers. There was actually a listing for Gandrel on the wiki as a 15th century monster hunter, but that was the only mention, and I'm pretty sure it's talking specifically about the guy from Baldur's Gate 3. But if I'm wrong and there's another guy in lore that he's based off of, let me know. I'm actually kind of curious. So back to our Gur story. When you first speak to him, he's very friendly. He asks that you don't mind the strange smell he's using to deter monsters away from him. Almost instantly, though, Astarion hijacks the conversation, seeming very interested in the man, claiming he thought all Gur were vagrant cutthroats. I always choose to say nothing personally because I want to hear what Astarion has to say on the matter, and there sure seems to be something more going on here. Gandrel goes on a short rant about all of the bad things that Gur might be accused of, and Astarion just looks on as though he were sizing up an enemy. And then Astarion moves in smugly, asking what he's hunting with a sarcastic tone. A dragon? A cyclops? Nope, he's hunting you, Astarion. This dialogue can actually change depending on when you meet Gandrel. If you don't know that Astarion is a vampire yet, he'll say that he is looking for a vampire spawn. But if you already know about Astarion's sanguine hunger, Gandrel will say he's looking for a vampire spawn named Astarion. You almost feel bad for the guy, because he has no idea that a vampire could be walking around during the daylight. And in all honesty, I gotta say the guy seems a little slow. I mean, he mentions the potential to make a deal with the hag at one point, and he really should know better. That nobody ever wins when making a deal with a hag. The dialogue choices I usually make to get Astarion's approval involve the line about how he's only hunting a vampire spawn. And then you guys enter this entirely inside joke-like conversation where everyone knows what you're talking about except for Gandrel. Astarion makes a little quip about how a vampire spawn could still rip your throat out if he felt like it. And like an idiot, Gandrel is just like, he's right, yeah. There's more innuendo as your PC can choose to say, I'm sure they can creep right up on you. The whole dialogue is pretty funny, actually, as the guy has no idea what's going on. Gandrel is talking about how there's still a threat with a vampire spawn lurking around, and Astarion is agreeing, but he's talking about the threat of the Gur to his own safety. In order to get Astarion's extra approval, I always pick the option to let him kill the Gur. He always seems so happy to do it, and knowing his backstory and how he originally lost his mortal life, it's no wonder. Because once you make short work of Gandrel, there is an extra dialogue where he explains to you what happened and how he became a vampire spawn to begin with. But before I go into showing you all of that, I wanted to show you the new scene that came out with patch 3. I've actually been playing the old one here in the background so that you could see the difference. I never thought there was a big problem with the original scene, so I was quite shocked when I saw the major improvements to the new one. Let's take a look.
Ah, stranger. Forgive the aroma.
You catch a waft of something foul, metallic, and sickly sweet.
Powdered iron vine. An old hunter's trick. Most monsters will think twice before making a meal of me.
You're a monster hunter? I'm surprised. I thought all Gur were vagrant cutthroats.
And more. We steal chickens, curse your crops, seduce your daughters, the list goes on. I wish I had half the power settled folk think my people possess. Alas, I am a simple wanderer. A simple wanderer and monster hunter. But I'm no witch doctor or cutthroat.
Something terrifying, no doubt. Dragon? Cyclops? Kobold?
Nothing so dramatic. I'm hunting for a vampire spawn. His name is Astarion. but I fear he's gone to ground. I hope the hag of these lands can help me flush him out, if I can afford her blood price.
I don't know. I'm sure a vampire spawn could still rip out your throat if he felt like it.
He is right, unfortunately. They are only weak when compared to their masters. During the day, we have the advantage, but at night, when they hunt, you'll not find a more deadly quarry.
We've all survived so far. Let's focus on that.
It would still be wise to post guards at night. The threat is real.
Indeed it is. We should do something about this threat. Excellent.
The vampire? It can't be.
The first thing I notice is that none of your other party members are here now. It's just you and Astarion, and I think this makes sense considering nobody else in camp ever really comments on this particular chain of events. If Shadowheart had made some off-color comment about how Astarion was causing us trouble, then it wouldn't make so much sense, but she never does, so not only does it make more sense, but it also makes it feel more like a secret that only the two of you know. I of course like that. I mean, why wouldn't I? I also noticed that all of the distances have been adjusted. The view is no longer so close up on Gandrel and your PC. It feels more like there's a comfortable distance between you guys now. In the original scene, it's not as obvious that Astarion is acting in a threatening manner, but now it is definitely clear as he walks right past you and towards the Gur. I'm also far more impressed by Gandrel's animations here. He comes off as an almost goofy guy now with his expressions and hand movements, dramatically emphasizing the awful things he might do, like, God forbid, steal your chickens. He then becomes a bit more sober as he speaks of the struggles he deals with as a Gur and what people think of him versus what he's actually like. I love the changes to Astarion's movements here as he pokes fun at the Gur. While in the original he barely moves, now he makes a mocking expression for every ridiculous creature the guy is obviously not hunting, and it works really well. This next part is entirely new as Astarion looks worried at the direct drop of his name, and you can even see him take a look at your PC in the next scene as they both realize the poop they've stepped into. After choosing the option about how it's just a vampire spawn, there is a definite change in the look on Astarion's face. He looks almost a little wounded, like, gee, thanks for the insult, lady, even though the dialogue is exactly the same. It's funny how that little expression makes such a difference in the feel of the scene. He also makes a much angrier look when he talks about how a spawn could still rip out your throat. I really love it, but you know, the one thing I feel like maybe they should add is that Gandrel should maybe, I don't know, notice it? I mean, he just seems so dense, but maybe that's the point. Maybe he's supposed to be dense. My favorite new addition here is when you let him kill the Gur and Astarion says, "Excellent." The look on his face is just superb, and it's funny seeing that originally he barely had any expression at all. It's really awesome to see the tweaking. It's like the initial scene was put in as a placeholder, and now they get to come in and clean it up after the fact. Now I'm going to show you the new version of the dialogue that opens up after you have the interaction with Gandrel. It's nice to see that they fixed up the glitch that would occur where you could see both options depending on whether Astarion was there or whether you killed the Gur when he wasn't there. For whatever reason, it always showed both, but you could only pick one. Now it seems to have been fixed, and I only get the one option this time.
Not anymore. Which is all that matters, really. Oh, there'll be others. I'm sure of that. If Cazador sent one peon after me, he'll send another. It was him, I'm sure. Only he would know to send the Gur after me. It was a group of Gur that attacked me that night in Baldur's Gate. I would have died had Cazador not appeared and saved me. Well, he didn't mention the slave clause at the time. And now he sends a Gur monster hunter for me. It's a message. He's reminding me of his power. Even in the middle of nowhere, he can reach me. And he wants me back. Maybe he wants to make an example of me, to show what happens to runaways. Or maybe he thinks death is too good for me. Aha! Safe! You think I'm safe? Do you know the power a vampire lord possesses? He can change shape, turn into mist, call wolves to do his bidding, shrug off blows like they're nothing. He could walk into our camp tonight and kill you with his bare hands. And you'd be lucky if death was the worst thing that happened to you. Probably not. He has to rest in his crypt during the day. I've never known him to leave Baldur's Gate. But he has no end of lackeys. He'll send someone else in his place. We just have to be vigilant, keep our wits about us, and kill any monster hunters on sight.
In terms of improvement to the scene, it's a lot harder to tell because I spoke to him at night in the original and I spoke to him in a bright sunny area in the newer clip. Still, at a glance, it seems like Astarion is way more smiley at the beginning, as though he is just so happy to be rid of the Gur. The rest seems mostly the same from what I can tell. Now that we've gone through all of those events, we can actually talk about the story elements. So basically, Astarion was attacked by a group of Gur in Baldur's Gate. The very same night that Cazador showed up and, quote, saved him. By saving him, we mean turning him into his undying slave, of course. The part where he got stuck serving Cazador for a couple hundred years is certainly awful, but now that he's here with the PC and free of his puppet strings, things should be looking at least slightly better for him now. Yet here is this lone Gur sent out to his death to hunt Astarion. Who knows if the guy was actually supposed to be any good, or if it was just a message to mess with Astarion. It always kind of upsets me a little when you tell him he's safe with you and he gets so uppity about it. I mean, I understand it, but still, I think we'd have a pretty good chance of killing Cazador if he ever did show up and try to take Astarion back, you know? How about a little credit? It just goes to show how awful Cazador must have been to be around for all of those years, and after seeing the new romance scene, it really has me wondering what that spell on his back is for. What will it do? Will Astarion end up being some portal to hell? Will it do something awful to him? A time bomb, as others have suggested? Whatever it is, we know it's not good. I just hate the looming idea of whatever that thing is. Ugh. So now that I've rambled long enough on the subject, you guys will have to let me know what you thought of the new scene. I really liked it. I think it fits so much better now, and I really love how predatory Astarion comes off. I also like how it feels like there's way more of a dynamic between the two of you. The way you shoot glances at each other, saying the words without speaking them, this guy is gonna be a problem. I can't wait to find more of the new scenes and break them down. It's really fun to look at the old ones and compare them. Now, sadly, I'm going to have to take a quick break for at least a couple days, maybe 3 this week, to play the hell out of Cyberpunk when it comes out tonight at 7 p.m. EST. I have already decided I'm going to be playing Corpo for my first game, and as far as the character herself, I'm going to make an offshoot of one of my existing RP characters from Battletech. She's basically a Japanese noble who likes animals a lot. So I wonder if they will have something like that in game. How about a robot dog? I would settle for that. Either way, it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'll probably throw up a quick video of the start of my game and, character creation, so you guys can check it out. Thanks for watching, guys. Thank you for the comments and the great discussions as well. I'll see you later.